Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today for our third and final virtual college fair of this year's college match. I'm so happy that you're able to join us today to hear more about some of our partner colleges in a very friendly QuestBridge setting. My name's Erin. I'm on the student relations team here at QuestBridge, and I'll be moderating the discussion. Just a few technical notes about how this will be run. You can ask questions by typing them in on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also upvote questions. So if you see a question that's been asked that you want to hear the answer to, you should upvote it so you don't submit it twice. That way we can get to the questions that are most relevant that a lot of people want to hear from. We also do have some questions that we'll be going over outside of the ones that you're asking. And looks like Liz is joining us from Williams. Okay. Great. And another thing is, this college fair is about getting to know the partner colleges represented better. So, make sure that your questions are relevant to each of the colleges and getting to know them better, getting to know if they're a good fit for you. So thinking beyond just the admissions process, getting to know the colleges better, and knowing if that's a school that you would want to rank for the college match. Okay, so with that, we are going to do introductions. And Brooke, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brooke Hesney. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at Washington and Lee University, located in Lexington, Virginia. And my role in the office is being our QuestBridge coordinator. And I also oversee some of our special events, including our fly-in program, which is an all-expense-paid visit program for students, and also our scholarship program.
Okay, Nicole?
Hi, my name is Nicole Malloy, and I'm the Associate Dean of Equity and Access at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm also a proud Penn alumna. I graduated in 1995, just had my 20th reunion, so hooray. And I oversee outreach and recruitment for people from historically underrepresented backgrounds, as well as first-generation and socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. And I'm glad to be here today.
Great. Okay, Windsor?
Hey folks, I'm Windsor Jordan. I'm Assistant Dean of Admissions and co-director of our multicultural recruitment program here at Swarthmore. I'm also an alumni of Swarthmore College as well, graduated in 2007. I also oversee our fly-in program called Discover Swarthmore, which is actually upcoming at the end of the month, and we're very excited for that program and very excited to talk to you all today.
Okay. Okay. So, some students who are with us today, they might have heard of one of your colleges, maybe all three, but there might be ones that they're not as familiar with. So to start off, do you guys mind, giving your 1-minute spiel about what makes your college special, where it is, all those great details, in any order that you want to?
So I'm happy to start. So Washington and Lee, being located in Lexington, Virginia, we're a small liberal arts institution with about 1,800 undergraduate students. We're pretty small, but students really appreciate that you have the same resources you would get from a large university, since we still do offer business, journalism, engineering, just as a few examples in addition to the liberal arts offerings. Otherwise, we're often noted for our honor system, where our students pledge not to lie, cheat, or steal. So it's a very safe community. I don't lock my car or my office, and through the honor system, our students actually self-schedule their own exams that they take proctored. So the whole point is to empower students in their education, that you get to do things that are conducive to your particular learning style. That would probably be the biggest thing about this now.
Okay, so I guess I'll go next. So the University of Pennsylvania traces its roots to 1740 and was founded by Benjamin Franklin. It's one of the 8 schools in the Ivy League. Our colors are red and blue. And one of the things that definitely is very important at the University of Pennsylvania is the idea of interdisciplinary education. So students who are excited by the idea of finding connections between and among different areas of study, students who might want to major in nursing but minor in Spanish, or have a concentration in business but minor in computer science engineering, things like that are made possible at Penn because we have 4 undergraduate divisions all in one campus. We also have 12 graduate and professional schools, also all on the same campus. So you'll have your roommates will be in different divisions, different majors, and it's all about having the opportunity to learn from one another. And I would also say we're in the wonderful city of Philadelphia, PA, 2 hours from New York, 2 hours from DC, so it's a wonderful place to be on the East Coast. And it's also a place where students who value their academics and take academics seriously also value life outside of the classroom and are looking for how to apply what they've learned to the world around them in a way that impacts people beyond themselves. So life in and out of the classroom are important, and having a life that means something to you is important here.
I guess just a few things about Swarthmore College, a few things I want folks to take away with. We are a small liberal arts college located right outside Philadelphia, about 20 minutes from Center City, Philadelphia. We actually have a train station right on the foot of our campus that takes students into Philly in that 20-minute train ride. A couple of things that are unique about our curriculum. Our first semester for all first-year students is pass-fail, and that means students don't receive grades on their transcript at the end of that first semester. It really gives students an opportunity to explore the curriculum, figure out what they want to do academically before making that choice about a major at the end of their second year. The other thing that's pretty special about Swarthmore College, we are a liberal arts college, but also have an engineering department as well. We're one of the only liberal arts colleges in the country that has a fully fledged and accredited engineering department, so students can have the engineering experience in the context of the liberal arts institution as well.
Great. So, you know, when you're doing college research, it can sometimes seem like a black hole, right? You just like keep researching and there's so many more details and so much information to learn, it can take forever. So some students might be in that process where they're just like really inundated with a lot of information. But what would you say is like one thing that students who have even started researching your schools might not know about your school that is special and like stands out?
Sure, I think one of the things that's really unique, I talked about quickly about the pass-fail semester here at Swarthmore. That's a fairly unique thing where students don't receive grades on their transcript at the end of that first semester as first-year students. The other special thing is our honors program here, and our honors program is a lot different from other honors programs throughout the country because it's not based on class rank or grades. We have a very non-competitive academic environment here. And grades and GPA kind of sometimes create those things. So GPA, class rank aren't a part of our honors program. The honors program really is about giving students a chance to kind of dive into something that they really, really love. And you can be an honors major in just about anything here at Swarthmore College. You really have the opportunity to dive. Very small seminar classroom program. We're talking 8 students in the class. And the really unique thing about the honors program is that before you graduate from Swarthmore College, as an honors major, we bring in outside experts from all over the country, all over the world to kind of examine you in that subject, which is pretty cool. So some of our computer science honors majors last year, for instance, folks from Google came to examine them. If you were an economics honors major this past year, folks from the World Bank came to examine you. So it's a really, really special program that allows students to have depth, even in the liberal arts context. It really gives students to dive lots of different types of academic interests as well.
I will say for Penn, something that some people might not realize, especially if you've never been to the campus in person, is that we are not only right in the city of Philadelphia, but we also have a beautiful campus with grass, trees, squirrels, brick walkways, beautiful architecture, the whole thing, right? So because some urban universities, sell the fact that they're an urban university, that they're urban universities, but when you go there, all you see are gray buildings around you, and that may be fine if that's what you're looking for. And then other places are farther away and are beautiful and wonderful, but then it's a little bit more challenging to take advantage of what's available in the city. We're in the city of Philadelphia, but when you're in the middle of the campus and all you see is this old architecture and, as I mentioned, all the beauty of the campus feeling, you don't necessarily see that you can be in both at the same time. And so if you come to visit, you'll see it in person. And I'll also mention we have Penn Park, which is relatively new, because there was this whole lot that used to be parking lots and things like that Penn was able to purchase and transformed it completely into green and recreational space, and which is a rare opportunity for an urban university. What's especially nice about that is it was designed in a very forward-thinking way, in a way to be environmentally sustainable. So it's green in more than one way. It's actually green when you look at it. But also, for example, when it rains, there are cisterns underground to collect some of that water to be reused later. So all of that together, I think, is something that people who haven't necessarily been here would know about Penn.
And at Washington and Lee, I think one area that is pretty new for us, it's only about 1.5 years old, so we're still figuring out all of the great things we can do with this space. It's called our Integrative and Quantitative Center. It's abbreviated as the IQ Center and has nothing to do with your intelligence. It means integrative and quantitative. It's a STEM facility, science, technology, engineering, and math, and we're actually the only undergraduate school in the country to have this facility. Some schools have one of the 5 microscopes or one of the spaces within there, but something that our students really love to have access to as an undergraduate student. Otherwise, it attracts non-STEM students as well. We had a dance course that took place here this past spring term, and it was really cool to see them look at the dance choreography with the physical lab space that they have in there, and then do, oh my gosh, print all sorts of 3D imagery from the dance. It was really, really cool. So even if you're not interested in STEM, it's still a crazy, awesome space on campus.
Okay. So I'm actually going to jump to a student question now, and this is actually just like very related to the basics of researching your colleges, but they're just curious about how large your campuses are and how large the student body is. So can we just quickly go through and kind of give those stats?
Sure. I don't have the acreage offhand, but I can tell you in terms of the student body, Penn has about 10,000 undergrads, about 11,000 graduate students, and so that makes us a mid-sized university if you add that all up.
So Washington and Lee is a small institution where we have about 1,800 undergraduate students, and then our only graduate student population are 400 law students. And acreage I'm not sure of as well, but to get from one point of campus to the other is about a 15-minute walk.
Here at Swarthmore, we have just over 1,500 undergraduate students, and there are undergraduate students only here at the college at Swarthmore. And we have about 425 acres of land, half of which are our buildings, our dorms, our laboratories, science center, things like that. The other half of that 425 acres is the Crum Woods, which houses hiking trails and biking trails, walking trails all through the woods around campus.
Okay. So we have a question here at the top that students are curious about, and this question is, as a selective college, liberal arts or research university, what distinguishes your university from others? And in other words, what can the students get skill-wise or experience-wise on your campus that they might not get somewhere else? I know this is a tough question because, of course, all of our partner colleges are excellent colleges and offer, an incredible amount of support. But is there anything, that's very unique to your campus that they might not get somewhere else? And it looks like, real fast, Liz is joining us. Liz, can you hear us okay? No, we can't hear you, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. Okay, but yeah, so the question is, something about your campus, skills or experiences that might not be available somewhere else.
Okay, well, and I will just sort of jump in and agree with you that one of the reasons that we are partner colleges with QuestBridge is because all of us have a lot to offer. I think I speak for my colleagues that, all of us we're very fortunate and happy to represent such strong schools so that wherever a student from QuestBridge may match, we know that they'll find all the resources that they need to succeed. So I wanted to start there, just in all fairness. I can say academically something that is special at Penn are the coordinated dual degree programs. So we have I mentioned that we have 4 undergraduate divisions. We have nursing, the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Engineering and Applied Science, and the Wharton School, which is business. So when students apply as an undergrad, they indicate which of the 4 they would like to be applying to. And regardless of which of the 4 your major is in, everyone is taking the liberal arts requirement and getting the full education over and above what they're specializing in. So, but one of the coordinated dual degrees give you the opportunity to actually be in 2 of those schools at once, focusing on, for example, the Management and Technology program, the Jerome Fisher program, where a student indicates which major they want in engineering and which concentration they want in the Wharton School. So they're studying the intersection between business and technology. But you can do that with marketing and computer science, or you can do that with finance and bioengineering, for example, so you can mix and match those. We also have the Huntsman program in International Studies and Business, where you're doing intense regional and linguistic studies of a particular area of the world, learning how business is conducted in that area of the world. So it's a little bit more than international relations. It's more so studying a particular area. And there's a study abroad component in that. And again, you're doing the College of Arts and Sciences regional and language studies along with some area of business that's of interest to you. The last one I'll mention is nursing and healthcare management. So these are students who are studying the intersection of the healthcare universe and the business universe. and from the perspective of someone who can practice both and be fluent in both of those languages, if you will. So the fact that you can have an integrated program and really get 2 degrees at once is pretty exciting. Yes, it's rigorous, but it's worth it.
Okay, great.
I'll go next. So at Washington and Lee, as I kind of mentioned in my introduction, I think that our students really appreciate, and I would also echo what Nicole had said about wherever you end up at any of the partner schools, you're going to receive a fabulous education. And you know, something that I think our students appreciate at Washington and Lee is, despite being a smaller institution, we can still provide a lot of the same resources that you get from a large university. So the fact that we're the only top-tier liberal arts institution with an accredited business school, and the same thing with journalism, and that we're actually in the process of accrediting our engineering program, our students are feeling that they don't have the same limitations that they could potentially have on a smaller campus, where they still have access to all of those areas, but still grounded by the liberal arts, where you develop a skill set to be very versatile and adaptable in the real world.
I think, like my other colleagues said, I think I always encourage students when they're looking for a college and a fit, to find those things that are really important to you, and find a college that reflects some of those things. So, you know, you guys have, as QuestBridge scholars, will have an opportunity to reach out and access lots of different colleges. So I encourage you to continue exploring what fit is best for you in terms of size, social environment, academic environment. And so I think one of the things that's really special about Swarthmore is you do provide this small liberal arts context where, you know, average class size is about 16 students. So you really have an opportunity to get to know your professors, get to know, have a community of thinking and learning together. We were treated really as a colleague on the pursuit of knowledge. And our kind of social and academic environment here really comes a lot from our Quaker heritage. This idea that there's not a lot of hierarchy or competitiveness in our academic environment. That means as a student here, you're treated as a colleague in the pursuit of knowledge. And you're not just empty vessels that your professors kind of are pouring knowledge into, and you're expected to kind of pour that knowledge back out come test time. It's not what happens. So you're really engaging critically with the work you're doing academically. I think one of the other holdovers from our Quaker heritage is this connection between academics and social justice, civic engagement, where students are not just thinking about their academic lives in the vacuum, but really thinking about, you know, how we make the world a better place through the things we're learning in the classroom, through the research we're doing, through the books we're reading, the texts we're reading, how we use tools we're learning at Swarthmore College to go and put those things into action right away. Those things I think are really, really important to kind of the core of the academic and social environment here at Swarthmore.
Okay. So Windsor, you started to bring up a little bit about this idea of college fit, which I think is very important as students are researching colleges. I'm also curious, from your perspective as admissions officers, you know, what type of student you think is a good fit for your school? More than just what extracurriculars they're involved in, their academics. Like, what are the characteristics or like the personality of a student who would be a really good fit for your school?
I think that at Washington and Lee in particular, a good student to fit into the character of our community understands how we do community as a verb rather than a noun, is really how we talk about that. That our students are so active and engaged in a way that creates this infectious vitality to our campus that's really exciting to be around. And you know, Windsor talks about that support system that you see of students. There's no competition in that way. So, you know, you see that grounded by our honor system that really fosters a community of trust and respect. We also have what's called our speaking tradition, where students say hello to one another in passing. Otherwise, you know, social justice is a big thing on our campus as well, with our Center for Ethics, and we do have what's called our Shepherd Poverty Program, which is a minor in poverty and human capability studies, to really put into action the knowledge base behind what it means to come from an underrepresented background.
These questions about, I think, community are really important. And so, you know, we have a Black Cultural Center on our campus, an Intercultural Center on our campus to house some of our African American student groups and our LGBTQ, Latino, and Asian student groups. Here are spaces where I think Swarthmore students are really engaged in questioning diversity and inclusion, and class and race, really, really tough issues. And I think you'll find that Swarthmore students, both in and outside the classroom, are students that are not shying away from those tough issues, are really engaged in real serious ways and thinking about how do you build community? How do you bring people from all over the country, all over the world together to one place to learn together and do that well? It doesn't mean all those conversations are easy conversations, they're hard conversations, but we create an environment here at Swarthmore where folks can ask those tough questions and both inside and outside the classroom, really engage with them, and then go do work through our Lang Center for Civic and Social Responsibility that funds students' work on those issues and other works around the country or even around the world. We have grants that we offer up to $10,000 for students to be able to go off and do great work on issues they care about outside of the Swarthmore.
Sure. So as far as the question was, what type of student would be happy and what's the community?
Yeah.
So at Penn, I think what typifies a student is, and I touched on this earlier, is recognizing the importance of the academic piece of your education and making that a priority, but then balancing that with your life outside of the classroom. And a lot of high school students, I mention this frequently when I speak to high school students, they don't realize how much free time you have in college, right? So you spend a lot of in high school you spend a lot of hours in class in the school building, where in college you might not have class on Tuesdays or Thursdays, and that might be news. So it's a matter of finding balance between taking care of your academic priority, but then you're going to have all these other hours after you're done with your homework and your studying to find other ways to impact the world. And I think students at Penn it's a matter of finding what you're passionate about and then doing something with that information, finding a way to be active and engaged in that thing you're passionate about. So whether that's the performing arts or fraternity and sorority life and community service, whether it's writing, we have a writer's house, we have a whole hub dedicated to students who want to improve their writing and hear from guest authors who want to do readings and things like that. We have Civic House for students interested in community service. We're NCAA Division I athletics, which some people don't know about the Ivy League, so students spend a lot of time there. And we have 6 cultural resource centers on our campus. So students who are interested in cultural identities, whether it's celebrating their own or learning how to be a better ally to students from a different cultural background, there are wonderful opportunities for that here. So what's nice about having this many resources available is it gives students many opportunities to figure out what it is that's of interest to them, what excites them, and they can pursue those things both in and out of the classroom to find ways to, again, use what they've learned to leave a mark after they have not just left the campus, but moved on into the world with the spirit of what can I do with what I've learned and how can I make the world better than I found it.
Okay. And it looks like Liz is able to join us. Liz, can you say something just so we know that the sound is working?
Yeah, hi everyone, it's Liz Creighton from Williams College.
Awesome. Okay, we're so happy to have you here today. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit more about Williams? Anything students who might be just hearing about Williams for the first time would want to know, and a little bit more about the student that would be a good fit at Williams?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I'm sorry to be late to join everybody. So as some of you might know, Williams is a liberal arts college in Western Massachusetts. I guess a couple of things I want to make sure you know. One is about the Williams tutorial program. So like so many of the really fantastic liberal arts colleges that are QuestBridge partner schools, Williams really prides itself on having small classes and getting to work really closely with faculty. But we have a program that's pretty unusual in higher ed called the Williams Tutorial Program. It's modeled on the tutorials that are offered at Oxford University in the UK. But the way it works at Williams is we offer about 75 tutorials every year, and 10 students sign up for those tutorials, and then at the start of the semester, the professor divides those 10 into 5 pairs of 2. So if you decide to take a tutorial, one of your classes, one of the 4 classes you take during a given semester at Williams will consist of you, your tutorial partner, and the professor, and that's it. So it's sort of our way of taking the idea of small classes and faculty interaction kind of to another degree. And they are, I think, the defining feature of most students' academic experience at Williams. And as I said, pretty unusual and hard to come by. So probably the thing, at least academically, that I want to make sure you all know about.
Great, okay. So we have a question here at the very top that I'm really interested in hearing about, and that is, what is there to do outside of the school? What is the neighborhood like? So the surrounding area. And I do want to preface this by saying, from the past college fairs, the one thing I've heard is that even though the surrounding area is great, you're going to spend a lot of time on campus. So getting to know the campus is really great. But even that said, what's the geographic area like around your college, and what is there that students do kind of nearby?
So I'll start this one. So the city of Philadelphia, one thing that students often do when they first visit is get a tour. We have the program we have for admitted students in the spring includes a bus tour of Philadelphia. And you have the chance to get out of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and if you are so inclined, run up the stairs like Rocky did. Many people have taken some very creative selfies during that trip. So the city of Philadelphia has so much to offer. You have the things like the arts, for example, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, as well as the Barnes Foundation, which is another essentially art museum, but there's a lot more to it than that. And there's performing arts as well, not only on our campus with student groups, but also on our campus with the Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts, where professional groups come through all the time. And then there's downtown Philadelphia. And in fact, speaking of performing arts, many of the student performing arts groups work with schools that are, professional organizations in the city to help them with, for example, choreography and lessons and things like that. I will leave the professional sports teams out of this for right now. However, thank you for letting me know. But again, just the general bustling opportunities that a city provides. I know someone mentioned internships in one of the questions that I see. So I'll also mention that being in the city gives students a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of professional opportunities as well. And again, proximity to other major cities on the East Coast. So, and the last thing I'll say is this: I mean, for food, you can name a country, and within a 4-block walking radius, in University City or downtown Philadelphia, you could probably find that food. So that's one of my favorite things in Philadelphia.
I guess I'll take this next. So Swarthmore is located in a suburban neighborhood. The campus itself is an arboretum, which is like a gallery and a museum for plants. So all our plant life on campus is labeled. So if you're in the botany or studying soil, you have lots of opportunity for you to do that right here on campus. So it's a beautiful, gorgeous campus. The downtown Swarthmore area is not a bustling college town. A little coffee shop, there's a little grocery store down there, a great pizza place, great Mediterranean restaurant. So if students are looking to go off campus, they might head on that train station right at the foot of campus, go into Philadelphia. Like my colleague at UPenn said, it's a vibrant city, tons of great opportunities for art and culture, cheap tickets to sporting events, because those teams aren't doing so well this year. So lots of opportunities into the city. Lots of our courses on campus actually have community-based learning components to them. I'll take you into the city of Philadelphia frequently. There's a great course right now being taught at a prison in Philadelphia. It's half inmates and half Swarthmore students learning about the American justice system together. So having the ability to access the city right from the foot of our campus really gives students options socially, but it gives students opportunities as well.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I'll just jump in with a non-Philadelphia perspective here. Sorry, did I just cut somebody off? Are you guys able to hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry about that. So Williams is in a place that's quite a bit different from Philadelphia. So we don't have any professional sports teams, so we don't have to be upset about the fact that we're not doing well. But Williams is in a relatively small town, so year-round population is about 10,000. And it's in many ways a sort of quintessential college town. So student body is about 2,200, and there's pretty significant engagement of students in life outside the community. So most of what students spend their time on is happening on campus, and because we're not in a major city like Philadelphia, we work really hard to make sure we're bringing sort of a flavor of city life to campus. So as an example, the New York City Ballet performs on campus every year, and the tickets are $3. Williams is also known, I think, for being sort of in the midst of a real sort of arts hotbed in the Northeast. So right within striking distance of campus, we have 3 really world-renowned art museums: the Clark Art Institute, Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, and the Williams College Museum of Art. the Berkshire Symphony Orchestra, which is an orchestra comprised of half professional musicians from New York and half students from the Williams student body, Jacob's Pillow Dance Festival, Tanglewood, so a lot of really great opportunities in the visual and performing arts. And then, as I said, we work really hard to bring terrific options to campus to make sure life on campus is really vibrant. Beyond that, the town itself, as I said, is sort of a quintessential college town. So right within walking distance of campus, we have a bunch of different restaurants that offer lots of different cuisines, an independent movie theater right in town, sort of all the things that you could possibly need in your day-to-day life right within walking distance of campus. And then beyond that, interestingly, the Berkshires, which is the county that Williams is located within, is an incredibly sort of interesting, diverse, and textured place. And so we have an organization on campus, an office called the Center for Learning and Action, which has a staff of about 10 people, and their entire job is to make sure our students have opportunities to engage in the broader community, both because we feel like that's important for their learning, and also because we feel like it's our duty to be good community members here in the Berkshires. And so there are about 450 different organizations that Williams students can be involved in. And some of these opportunities are sort of traditional community service opportunities, and others have much more of an internship or actually a curricular component to them. And one of the really cool things about doing that work in a smaller place like this is there's less competition for those opportunities, and so you tend to get pretty high-level experience early on in your Williams career.
And Washington and Lee, being located in Lexington, Virginia, we are also in a small college town. We're nestled between the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Allegheny Mountains, so it is crazy beautiful down here. I can see that I'm the only one wearing short sleeves right now since the weather is warmer. I'm from New York originally, and I was definitely excited to come work in a place that's a little warmer, where we get 4 seasons without an extreme winter. So that's something I think our students really love, that if you've never experienced snow, you can get a little taste of it without too much. And if you've experienced too much snow, you can kind of downsize on that at least. Lexington is a really vibrant community. You know, I was joking earlier how we say we do community at W&L, and that's something that our students really love, that extends into the Lexington community. I walk to work every day. I can walk to the grocery store, the post office. The cafes know my name and my order. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think our students really love that you do feel like you are a member of the community here. You're not necessarily isolated somewhere in a small town in the middle of nowhere. It's not how we are.
Okay. So, you know, when students show up to campus for their freshman year, a big part of, you know, their adjustment to college is dorm life, you know, the residential college that they're living in. And our next question is about that, and it's wondering, you know, what is dorm life like at your college? So that can be for freshman year, for all 4 years, if you have a special residential housing system. Yeah, you guys can share more about that at your colleges.
Sure, I'm happy to start off. So at Williams, we have a special housing system for first-year students called the entry system. And so across the board, all 4 years at Williams, we don't have any special interest housing. So no Greek life, no language houses, nothing like that. So what we do during students' first year is we take the entire incoming class of about 550 students, and we divide them into about 25 groups, each of which is called an entry. And each entry is meant to be a microcosm of the incoming first-year class. So it will have students who are United States citizens, international students, students who are planning to play an instrument in the symphony, students who are going to be on an athletics team, English majors, math majors, and sort of everything in between. And those entries usually are made up of about 20 to 25 students, and they live with 2 juniors who are called junior advisors. And they couldn't be more unlike resident advisors. So junior advisors have absolutely no disciplinary control over the first years with whom they live. Instead, they're really meant to just be mentors and sort of help those first-year students navigate their way through their first year. They're not paid, so it's a volunteer position. The only thing that they get are 2 t-shirts, 2 purple t-shirts that say junior advisor. We select about 50 junior advisors every year, and despite the fact that it's entirely a volunteer position, that means students can't study away during their junior year. We typically have about 200 students apply for the position. So I think the reason that's the case is because the entry experience is such a formative part of most people's Williams experience. And I think in terms of the community here, it's one of the things that really defines Williams. And then after your first year, you get the opportunity to live in one of 4 neighborhoods on campus. Each neighborhood has roughly 15 different housing options within it. So some are very traditional college dorms. Other are smaller co-op homes that have full kitchens that you can cook in. And in your sophomore, junior, and senior year, you get to choose the group of 5 or 6 friends with whom you live. It could be, you can choose to live alone, you can choose to live with as many as 6 people, and you choose to live in one of those 4 neighborhoods on campus.
I can take it next. So we do guarantee housing all 4 years here at Swarthmore College for all students. For the most part, first-year students are living in doubles, some triples and some quads on campus, but mostly doubles. They're matched that first year by residential life folks. There's a long questionnaire that asks really great questions like, you stay up late at night, do you get up early in the morning, you like to play your music out when you get up in the morning, those type of questions give a sense of a good match for roommates. Those folks are matched up as first-year students. Of course, you can choose your own roommate after that year. Most students by their junior or their senior year will be living in single. For the most part, small number of students will choose to live off campus, but the vast majority of students are living on campus. That's a really fun time. We have an RA system here, resident advisors that are junior, training to kind of look through the halls on campus and making folks are safe and having a good time, connecting with each other. One of the traditions among the RAs is to do something called Monday morning kickoff, where they will gather the hall together, have some snack candy, fall they'll have some hot cider, and gather the hall together in the lounge. We'll just talk and check in with each other as a hall to see how folks are doing before they start the next week. So residential life here is a big part of the social experience on campus.
So at Washington, we have actually overhauled our residential life experience for students. That we had our first-year students just move into brand new housing. We've been hearing from our first-year students that they've been calling them hotel gates and hotel grade. So we're very excited that students are loving our new housing. We have 70% doubles and 30% singles for first-year students. So you would move into either of those and have air conditioning in your dorm. You'd have modern furniture, modern amenities. We have laundry on every floor now. Students are loving them. We're really excited. If you'd like to see pictures, please check them out on our website. We have them on our Student Affairs Residential Life page. If you aren't able to visit a campus and see one for yourself while you're here, you can at least check that out online of what they look like. So that's a first year for a student, and then we do have a 3-year residency requirement for students. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you live directly on campus for 3 years, but you live in university-owned housing for 3 years. So most students will move beyond our residence life after that. So their second year could be in any upper division housing, from apartment-style housing, Greek housing, theme houses, which are like living learning environments for students. And then we are building a brand new residential community that will actually be finished at the end of this year of new townhouses and apartments for students. It'll have a pub over there, a new dining facility, and a natatorium, which I had to look up what that meant. It's a fancy way to say
So at Penn, there are 11 different college houses, and they actually have very different styles. So part of it, when a student is admitted, he or she will receive a packet in the mail that describes all of the college houses and the different types of rooms. But there are also some themes to the housing. Now I'll back up a little bit. So all freshmen are required to live on campus, but after that, many will stay. Many do move off campus if they like, because it's very easy. There's very affordable housing immediately around the campus. But I, for one, lived on campus all 4 years and loved it. And some of the programming, for example, does relate to modern languages. If you want to practice your Spanish, your French, your Arabic, your Chinese, your German, there's a college house that has a different wing for each of those, for the people who want to work on each of those languages. From time to time, you'll eat dinner together, practicing the language, and so even in the hallway, you have the opportunity to keep that up. We also have one that's focused on science and technology. So if you have a particular interest in that, whether or not you have an academic major in that area, but if it's just something that excites you and you want to have opportunities to engage in that, again, outside of class, you have the chance to do that. There's some that are culturally focused. I lived in the African American history and culture focused dorm or college house, and so you have, again, outside of class, the opportunity to pursue events and discussions and things to have the opportunity to just really learn a lot around whatever area that you're interested in. And then some don't have a theme. It's just where you live, and you build your community that way. You have some rooms that are kind of like the college dorms you typically see on TV, where there's 2 beds, 2 desks, and then you go down the hall to use the bathroom, and very communal, very social. But then we also have suite style, S-U-I-T-E, suite style living, where it's more of an apartment style. You have separate rooms within the room. There are sub rooms, if you will, and a bathroom within that room, and so it varies, and you have the opportunity to really browse and figure out the style that works best for you. The last thing I'll note is that we have academic advising within each college house, so you don't have to cross the campus if you have a really important question about your course load, your curriculum. If you want advice about resources on campus, you have a question or a concern about something and you're not sure where to go, you don't even need to leave the building to speak to someone about it, who can then either help you directly or direct you to where you should go and connect you with someone on the campus.
Okay, great. So the next question I have has to do with kind of getting to know your peers more, maybe outside of the academic setting, outside of the classroom. And the question is, what activities are the peers? Clarify this question. So I know that each of your colleges probably has a wide number of different extracurricular activities, different clubs. But for this question, let's talk about like different events that are going on, on a typical weeknight or weekend, different social events where students can meet each other. And in particular, if you have a favorite event or activity that happened this past year, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I can say generally speaking, there's always something to do. So that's why it's actually it's a bit difficult to answer the question, because there's so many different communities that students build for themselves. You have the community of your college house. I learned to play spades in my college house, and we would stay up all night playing spades, so that was one way I would meet people and defeat them soundly, for the record. But you also, if you're, again, a performing artist, you're forming almost sibling relationships with these people you spend all this time rehearsing with, and same thing with sports teams. So some of it may be around the the extracurricular activities you're involved in. And then there are actually academic extracurricular activities, like the Society of Hispanic and Professional Engineers, and things of that nature. So part of it will be there. Part of it will be exploring Philadelphia, and the open mic night at a coffee house that's right off campus, and things like that. Going to events, let's say you're not a performing artist, but you'll get together with your friends and go support your fellow students who are, go see their game and things like that. Of course, there are fraternities and sororities, and they have social events as well. But that's 30% of the campus. I'll note that, because if you're interested in it, it's thriving and it's wonderful and they have so much to offer. But if you're not interested in it, it's important to know that it's not the only social life. There's some schools where really that's all that there is outside of class. If you want to socialize, you need to be involved with that community. It's really up to you. And it's nice to know that you have a lot of options available.
Yeah, I think the really great thing about the social environment at Swarthmore College is that there's no one social group on campus that dominates social life. And that means there's 100 different student groups on campus, and students can really run through lots of different social activities any given day, any given weekend, any given night on campus. Old clubs run performance things on campus where people can bring performers in and bands that they want to hear right on campus directly. There's a cappella groups on campus that put on performances all the time. Dance troops, drama board puts on lots of performances throughout the year as well. There's lots of opportunities to be involved in those doing activities. There's also places like the Cultural Center on campus, the Cultural Center on campus are also on events, bringing speakers to campus. The other big thing is that we're a cash-free campus, and that means that the student activities fee that's a part of tuition covers all the events you may or may not decide to do any given day or weekend on our campus. That goes for Swarthmore College. It also goes for our Tri-College friends, two other nearby colleges on Ashford. So if you're looking to kind of expand yourself socially, you can take that campus ride over to Swarthmore College and for the secret events there as well. So I would keep that Swarthmore every other weekend over at Hatford and Bryn Mawr, going to events, speakers, performances, dances, parties over at those two institutions as well. So you kind of expand yourself socially through those offerings. So the last thing happening here on Swarthmore campus, of course, part of that. Also, College Social in Harvard College.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think on most college campuses, your challenge will be not looking for things to do, but figuring out how to find enough time to do all the things that you want to do. I think that's true of all the schools represented here, certainly true at Williams. Let's see, I'll just mention a couple of things. So coming up in this next week that we're excited about. So Michael Pollan, author of The Omnivore's Dilemma, is speaking on campus this week. Williams has a really robust program in environmental studies, environmental policy, and science, and so he's coming to take part in actually a several-day sort of lecture program through the environmental studies program. One of my favorite student groups on campus, the Love Galaxy Jazzstronauts, have a big performance coming up this week. And then actually one of my favorite things that's happened on campus actually happens every week on Sunday evening at 9 o'clock. It's sort of a long-standing Williams tradition, and it's called Story Time. There's a board of students who are responsible for story time, and what they do is for every Sunday night they find a current Williams student, faculty, or staff member who's interested in just coming to tell their story, and that story can be whatever they want to share with members of the Williams community. And the one rule is that the person telling their story gets to choose what their favorite cookie is, and our dining services, our friends in dining services, have to figure out a way to make that happen. And they supply enough cookies for, usually we have several hundred people attend story time. And one week you might hear from a first-year student who's still trying to find their way at Williams, and the next week you might hear from the president of the college. And so, again, I said it's something that happens every week, but it's something that I think is really sort of kind of indicative of the community at Williams, and so it's one of our favorite things on campus.
And forgive me, I left out the favorite thing question, so sorry I didn't respond to that. Very quickly, I'll say the Penn Relays. This is annual. It's I believe the largest and the oldest track meet in the world, second only to the Olympics, something exciting like that, and we're the home team. So Usain Bolt comes to this. It's great stuff, and so people come from all over the country, all over the world to come and watch this outdoor track and field competition, and many of the historically black fraternities and sororities will host a step show, and it's great fun, and that's a wonderful opportunity, not only to meet other students at Penn, but to meet people from all over, and it's all right here on the campus.
And at Washington and Lee, we really want to make sure that students are acclimated from the second they step foot to move in. We have students that can go on pre-orientation trips, and then during their first year orientation that starts right before classes begin, which is pretty common amongst a lot of colleges and universities, really wanting to make sure that students feel like they can test all of these different areas, that we having over 130 clubs and organizations, you can speak to upperclassmen that are involved in these different areas and see how much time and energy each activity will take out of you. Can you be as involved or not as involved? How formal is the organization? Does it require an application process or anything of that nature? So you really have people that can mentor you right from the get-go, which is really helpful for students. There is constant activity in the same way that you're hearing at a lot of these other campuses, and I think that students really appreciate that in the way, again, that we do community. It's very open and accessible to students, that you don't feel like you have just one niche on campus. are part of so much more. You know, we joke that we're a big family at WNL, and you're a general for life. So that's something that I think our students appreciate. You're welcomed with open arms in that respect. That all of our organizations have an open policy, basically, where if they're hosting an event, party, a fundraiser, anything of that nature, there's no guest list or only these particular organizations can be here. So I think that students appreciate how inclusive that is.
Okay. So we have a couple questions now, a little bit more about academic life, and one of them is, what are the top academic programs offered at your college? And I do want to preface this by saying that obviously at a top college, all the academic programs are going to be great. But if you could share, maybe some programs that are particularly strong or unique, something that might not be offered elsewhere. And we also do have another question I'm going to try to tie in, and that is about how students can tailor their curriculum if maybe they're more, they are strong in one subject and not necessarily in another. So if you can talk about any core requirements you have or anything of that nature. Yeah, so the two questions, top academic programs and how you can tailor your curriculum.
Sure. Well, I know that I already touched on the coordinated dual degree program, so I think that I'll leave my answer from that to cover the first piece in terms of something that's, I guess, unique academically. But I will say the second part of the question in terms of tailoring your experience. At the University of Pennsylvania, we have a general requirement. There are some schools that have a core curriculum where every student takes the same list of courses. There are some schools that are completely open, and we're right in the middle. We have, because we want everyone to have a very well-rounded education, and we don't want anyone to leave without some of the particular skill sets and ways of thinking that we want to make sure that they're exposed to, whether it's arts and letters to the physical or natural world. But we want to give students the flexibility to determine how they're going to fulfill those requirements. And so we have 7 sectors, and each one of those has a long list of classes under it. And the students will pick which courses on that list that they will take to fulfill the sectors. So everyone leaves with exposure to those 7 different ways of thinking, but everyone can customize how to do that. The quantitative one, for example, only has just a couple of courses that are actually taught out of the mathematics department. But some of them are linguistics, for example, right? Because there are a lot of different ways to think quantitatively in a way, and it's a matter of opening your mind to that. So if you know that, if you're admitted, you've got strength across different areas if you're admitted, right? But if you don't feel like continuing in some of those areas, if you're like, great, I just really want to focus on some of these other things now, you still have to do something in that area, but you can find a way to do that that's the most interesting to you. And that's pretty much how we handle allowing students to customize their areas of study.
I would definitely echo a lot of the things that Nicole is saying. At Washington and Lee, we're very similar in our curriculum structure in that sense. We have types of classes. We call them foundation and distinction requirements. Many liberal arts schools have these in some capacity. So really just having students explore the breadth of our curriculum that's available to them. And I did already mention some of the top programs earlier, again, being business, journalism, biology is very popular as well, and engineering. So I think that students appreciate that you can tailor the curriculum according to what you want to do. Only a third of your entire education goes towards your foundation and distribution requirements, a third towards your primary major, and the last third is entirely up to you. That if you want a double major, we see about 35% of students do that. If you wanted to take elective courses in another area you might be interested in, you don't have to take every math course or anything like that. Very similar to what Nicole was talking about at UPenn. So at Washington and Lee, we do really want to make sure that you're trying different areas that you probably weren't exposed to in college to, again, develop a skill set that's really going to serve you well after your time here.
Go ahead.
So for Swarthmore College, maybe a little bit similar to maybe some other liberal arts colleges, we have distribution requirements, so there are no required courses or a core curriculum here at Swarthmore. Distribution requirements mean that we ask students to take 3 courses in each division of the college. It really gives students the opportunity to explore in different areas and figure out kind of what they want to do. Again, that pass-fail semester for all first-year students means that students don't receive grades on their transcript at the end of that first semester. So with no grades, it really allows you to kind of do things you wouldn't do otherwise, explore things you wouldn't have explored otherwise. I came a sophomore thinking I was going to be an English major and took a introduction to sociology course my first semester. Didn't know what it was, and now I'm a sociology major. So it really gives students an opportunity to explore and kind of figure out what they want to do in that pass-fail semester, and do that distribution requirement to continue exploring before they choose a major at the end of their sophomore year. In terms of really, all our programs here are very strong at Swarthmore. Some of the more unique programs, one of them is our engineering program. I touched on this a little bit earlier. Engineering, again, is in the liberal arts context, and so some of the things that are unique about engineering at Swarthmore is that you won't just choose one field of engineering to learn. You'll learn multiple fields within that engineering program here at Swarthmore. So both civil, electrical, mechanical, and computing engineering within that engineering degree. You'll taste all those fields. You get a real good sense of how engineers think about the world after you graduate from Swarthmore College. And so everything that's really true about that program, too, and about, I think, Swarthmore's curriculum generally, lots of folks will double major, have a major and a minor, have a major and 2 minors. You can also design your own major as well. And engineers can do all those things, too, even in that program. So students are really able to pull together lots of disparate things, different things, to complete and get at the questions they want to answer academically here at the college. So we really do encourage them to think outside the box, think interdisciplinary, to combine lots of different things together. One of my tour guides is a double major in engineering and philosophy. One of my other tour guides is a double major in classics and dance. Those students are thinking differently in different ways because of the ability to kind of pull things together that you might not otherwise without the kind of freedom our curriculum offers students.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up from Williams. So we also have distribution or division requirements. So we ask students to take 3 classes in the arts and languages, 3 classes in the social sciences, 3 classes in math and science. And beyond that, it's up to you to create a curriculum that appeals to you. The only other requirement is you have to take 2 classes that are writing intensive, which I can promise you will be impossible to avoid at any highly selective school. So you end up meeting those requirements without actually needing to do so. And then just in terms of popular programs at Williams, so about 50% of our students major in math or one of the sciences, which is unusually high at liberal arts colleges. And 10% of every class that graduates from Williams majors in math. The national average at colleges in the U.S. is 1% to 2%. So Williams is known for having a particularly strong and large math program. We're also well known for our program in art history. As I mentioned before, we have 3 really wonderful museums right within striking distance of campus. And because of the work that our history students get to do in those local museums during their time on campus, we've created a bit of a pipeline in the art world. It's called the Williams Art Mafia. And many of the directors at the biggest museums, not only in the U.S. but in the world, are graduates of the Williams Art History program. So that's a little unusual. And then the last thing I'll add is one of the most popular majors at Williams is economics, which is not all that uncommon in college these days. But Williams has a particular program focused on developmental economics. That has a really interesting component where students get the chance to spend a semester in South Africa doing tutorials, so 2-on-1 classes like I mentioned before, but at the Economic Policy Research Institute in South Africa. So for students interested in developmental economics, public health, it's a really fascinating opportunity to not only do theoretical coursework on campus, but also see that work sort of practically applied during a semester or a full year away in South Africa.
Okay, so with that, we are pretty much out of time. Although I do say there are a ton of questions here that I think are really great. I wish we had time to get to. So if you're watching right now and your question wasn't answered today, I'd really encourage you to reach out to our partner colleges to ask these questions, to research them more. Because I think there are a lot of really great questions here that I really do wish we had time to answer today. So to everyone who's watching, wish you the best of luck as you continue to research colleges and as you decide how to rank colleges. Thanks so much for joining us today.